Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back after the festive break. I cannot believe that we are in 2024. I think I probably learnt the most in 2023 because obviously Evergreen was published and we went through the entire process of that, and it's been incredibly surreal, but I just never felt like I started the year right. And this is not me saying that you can't restart a year, but I just constantly felt on the back foot. And it's why I've spent the majority of the Christmas holidays. It's why I really wanted to give myself that downtime, because I wanted to really look at what it is that didn't feel like it worked in 2023. And I wanted to really take a sort of holistic view over everything and be really honest with myself about what I enjoy, what I felt like was serving me, and have a look at how processes and what it is that I want out of the next year. I don't even think I gave myself the proper amount of time to look at that last year. So that's kind of been my focus. And I really hope that in between your downtime, you've kind of done the same. I really didn't push it. I didn't spend days and days and days looking at it. I kept it in my consciousness. And I think that has been the word of the Christmas break: consciousness, like conscious thinking, being aware, consciously thinking about just simple things. And so that's what I did. I sat down, I got really honest with myself, and I basically got myself a load of the things that I felt like I needed in terms of my pads, my diaries, and that kind of thing. I just set about writing stuff down. And so what I thought I could do is sort of tell you and give you a bit of a walkthrough of what it is that I do and what it is that I think and how I do it, which is probably a really unconventional way of doing it, but it makes sense to me and it really helps me. And I think more than anything, just if you've been thinking about setting intentions, setting goals, looking at processes, being really honest with yourself, perhaps you can put my video on and we can just sit down and we can kind of do it together and go over it together and talk about things together. I hope you enjoy it. This is one of those videos that always kind of kicks me up the backside as well. So I really like doing it and just sharing it with you, and also being honest, because I feel like this is a really great way for you guys to hold me accountable for the things that I say I'm going to do. Am I going to be perfect this year? Absolutely not. I feel like we've already crossed that bridge and put that to bed. I am not going to be perfect this year, and that is not something that I am going to aspire to, aim for in any way, shape or form, but I'm going to be better. And that's a good place to segue into the video. Okay, so let's firstly start things off with my tools, and you will recognize this one. I've actually ripped a page out of my other diary because I started working in my other diary not realizing that it finished in January. I mean, great start, Lydia. So I quickly ordered myself as a little Christmas present my new Soho diary from Smythson, and I ripped out the page and I'm just making do for the moment. But this is where I started doing all of my intentions, so very relevant. Also, this diary for me is the diary that I've used for the last 4 or 5 years, and I actually really like it as a diary. I think it's a beautiful diary. I think it's really great for putting in your bag. It's great for a 25 Birkin, just gonna say that. But it's also I love the clip because it keeps all the pages together. It's got what I need in it for the most part, and it serves me well. So I buy it every year. In fact, no, I think one year they sent it to me and I was like, "You've made it, Lydia. You've made it." But this is my sort of main diary, and I generally tend to use this for my content more than anything. This serves me really well as a place for me to scroll down ideas, to schedule it out, and I use this in conjunction with my phone, which I can't show you because my phone is currently recording, because I don't know if you've noticed, I've got a new mic and it's very snazzy and I'm enjoying using it as well. So, well, we're getting the hang of it anyway. It's been a bit stressful. So my phone is currently recording this audio separately because your girl is not an idiot and she's not about to sit here and film a video with only one audio option. We always like to have a backup, so you are the backup. But I use my calendar on my phone. That is my general, everybody feeds into that diary. Ali feeds into that, Carrie feeds into that, my assistant, everyone feeds into that diary, so that everything that I'm ever doing and where I'm going to be is clearly visible. I then take that information and use that to plan my content in my diary and scribble all over this and make a mess of it. So it might seem bizarre to some people. Is there probably better ways to do it? Probably. But for me, writing things down in the physical process of writing something down really feels like it goes into my brain. Typing it out, not so much. So I've realized that diaries, physical diaries like this, are actually quite important to me. And that is why I have this. So that was the very long-winded version of that. This is like my brain dump diary. So this is my vintage Louis Vuitton, I don't even know what this is called, like agenda. I bought this 15 years ago. And when I bought it 15 years ago, it was vintage then. So, how old is it now? It's like double vintage. But the only issue I have with this is that it only has 4 rings, not like the new 6. So actually getting paper for this has been very difficult. I'd love to get some like proper inserts for this, but I use it as a notebook and I use it to just like get my thoughts down. Even just in planning this video, I thought, you know what, I just need to start writing everything about the video and what it's going to be in one place. And then I'm going to separate it out, kind of like a mind map as to where it goes within my intentions for the next year, as you will see here. A big old list of my things, just simple things that are on here, and I don't mind reading it to you. 2024, move phone chargers away from the bed. And do this without asking your husband. Set up my new Lumi alarm clock. These are all sort of tasks that I had to do to get myself ready for 2024. Devices charged, that kind of thing. That's all something that we'll get to. Handbag organization, again. These are all just ideas in my head that I thought would make my life a lot simpler in 2024. Vitamins, photo organization, positive content underlined, all of that kind of stuff. So I just tend to scribble everything down and then funnel it out to the places where I need them to go. Like I said, probably the most unconventional way of doing it, but this is how my brain works. And these are the 2 things that I would say generally get carried around with me on a day-to-day basis. These are tucked under my arm, on my desk, on my dressing table, on my bedside table. I take them everywhere with me. I look like a librarian and I don't care. It means that it works for me and it means that I'm writing things down, and once I write things down, it goes into my brain and it's all good and dandy. These are the ones in my handbag coming with me on a day-to-day basis. The first thing that sits only on my bedside table is my intelligent change journal. Let's make 2024 the year that we actually all gratitude journal and do it properly. And there'll be people that sat there going, Lydia, I am way ahead of you. I've been doing this for years. I pick it up and I put it down, and I need to just pick it up and never put it down, because this is one of those things that really, really helps you recenter yourself, reminds you of what it is that you've already got in your life, that things to be grateful for, reasons to get up in the morning. This is very, very much part of a firm lifestyle change in 2024 for me. So this sits on my bedside table. This is the Intelligent Change 5-minute journal. The reason why I like this, it's very neutral in its color, so it can sit on my dressing table, on my side table in my bedroom very, very beautifully. I love that it's got its own little pen clip, that it means I've always got a pen, so there's no excuse. And you set the dates as well. So if I do miss a day, which I'm hoping I'm not going to, or if I miss an entire year, I can still use it. So I'll link this down below. Gratitude is everything. Gratitude, if you're sat there right now and you're watching me or you're watching someone else's content and you're thinking, this makes me like, I just, what an idiot. And that's what you're thinking. This is your best friend. Honestly, any negative thoughts, this is going to be the one thing that helps you counteract how you are feeling about other things. Because once you are grateful for the smallest of small things in your life, it's hard to look at anybody else enjoying bigger things in their life and make it about you. Really, really just one of those things that I absolutely is part of my lifestyle change. And then, of course, shameless plug, I'm sorry, this is not going to be what it's like for the rest of the year, but this is my spare book that I'm highlighting and just reminding myself of the things. And I don't want to ram it down your throat. So I just wanted to say that this for me is just sat on my bedside table, just for me. And I wrote the book, but it's just for me because I need it too. I'm not perfect. So this is just something I'm going to go through the seasons with and highlight. And so I just thought I would give it a mention. The first thing that I did over the Christmas period is I cleansed. I cleared my phone. So that was a really, really important thing to just for me to be starting on a clean slate. I cleared my phone of 50,000 images and videos. I've never done that before. And it was a really cathartic experience for me because I said goodbye to a lot of things that probably I was holding on to, a lot of negative things I was probably holding on to. I said goodbye to clutter, which was great. It took me an entire day. And I still don't think I'm done, because what I actually want to do is go back in and organize everything so that I can find everything, because now I can't find anything. It was kind of organized mess. I'd had it like that for so long that I knew where everything was, and now I know where nothing is. But I've got about 10,000 pictures, which is still a lot. I think about 4,000 videos. And I think that I'm going to use the app that Lily Pebbles uses. She's mentioned it before, but I think it prompts you to organize your photos. And I think that's something that I'm going to do on a monthly basis, maybe even a weekly basis, just to keep everything useful and everything on hand. I got a bit of fluff on my face. And when I say that I cleansed everything, I mean I cleansed everything. I cleared my bedside table. I cleared cables. I cleared makeup, toiletries. I cleared the cluttered drawer in the kitchen. I cleared the pantry. I cleared my phone. Like I said, I cleared up my computer. I cleared up everything, so that I was looking at everything with a clean slate. And also it really highlighted a lot of areas to me that I needed to work on, which was really helpful. Just like day-to-day things that I'm already setting myself up for failure with before I've even got out of bed. So that was a really honest look at my life. The bundle of cables under my bed was a particularly low point. I was like, how have I lived like this when I've got 8 different phone chargers and only one of them works and they're all still plugged in? And if you're doing that, if you're looking at me now being like, Lydia, I'm so guilty of this, go and sort those cables out. The next thing I did was I was really, really honest about the kinds of words that I wanted to sum up the year moving forward. So what did I want? Like, if I was to look back and it was like I was going to file that year on a shelf, what would the words on the side of it, like in a file of facts, and you're like, this is accounts and this is this and the other, what would be the words that summed up the year that I see before me, that I want it to be? Kind of like between, I'd say, 3 and 4 words. You can go to 5. No one's going to tell you off, I promise. And so the words that I came up with were growth, which I feel like is broad enough because you're going to go off on a tangent on each of these things. And I felt like that really covered growth in every element of my life. I wanted growth in my personal life. I wanted growth in my relationships. I wanted growth in health and fitness. Growth in certain areas, like my bum. Also growth in my business and bits and pieces like that. So I felt like that was a really good, overarching mantra for the year moving forward. So that was the first one. And then I went in with routine, because routine is something I always talk about in this channel, and it's something that I really struggle with. And I think that I struggle with it because I've never actually really succeeded in implementing proper routines. And there will always be issues where I can't do that. But I think what I need to find is a really good process of implementing routine where it's difficult to have routine. So if I'm honest with myself that routine is difficult for me to do, and I know that there are going to be days when those routines don't stick, as long as I pick them up when I can, I think that's going to be the thing that really sets everything apart. The next word, which I also feel is like the most important, is happiness. If my life isn't happy, it's just, what am I doing? Honestly, what am I doing? I've got one life on this earth, and I am going to live that life happy. And it is going to be something that I work on for the rest of my life. And I'm going to have times where I look back and I think, Lydia, you're not happy. And there are going to be times when I'm like, oh my gosh, Lydia, you are so happy. I don't think that I was truly honest with myself when in the last year when I wasn't happy. I wasn't honest with myself. I wasn't communicative. And that is something that I need to be better at. And just because you're not happy doesn't mean it's the end. It doesn't mean that it's not working. It just means that it's maybe not all clicked. I'm listening to a book at the moment called Atomic Habits, very cliche. But if routine is my focus, I better get my habits in place, because that's going to be the thing that helps my routines. And it says about when you're trying to melt an ice cube, and how if you're saying I'm going to melt an ice cube and it's getting to certain degrees and it's not melting. But then when it hits 30 degrees and it starts melting, well, it wasn't melting before, but everything that you were doing in that moment was culminating in melting that ice cube. That is something that I very much am going to be focusing on, is making sure that when I'm not happy, I'm honest with myself and I'm able to look at myself and look at life in a really honest way. I think just should be a main focus and a good mantra for the year moving forward for anyone. And then this one, which I really, really like. And I think that this is important as well. And maybe if this isn't on your schedule and what it is that you're working towards, but for me, this is then kindness, because this takes me out of the equation. And this means that everything that I'm doing is going outwards, and I'm sending it out into the world so that it helps other people. Because if I'm not doing all of these things and then being kind to other people, I'm not passing it on. Why am I doing it? I'm just doing it in a selfish capacity. And that's not what my journey is about. My journey is not about just myself. This is like how bettering myself then makes a difference in the world. And we can get really, really low down in the differences. Like, it can make a difference in one person's day, and that then makes a difference in another person's day. And it's the ripple effect. And so I want to be part of the ripple. Okay. So kindness is one of the things that I really, really have to focus on. But I genuinely think that if I get those other bits focused on, then kindness will come naturally. But if it's not part of yours, then I would genuinely suggest putting it on your bit of paper or just feeding it in there. I'm sure it is. Sometimes we forget. Sometimes we get inside our heads, and that doesn't make us a selfish person, but it just means that sometimes life does things and we forget about everything else, and it becomes very tunnel visioned. And then it's important to look outwards, especially in the world that we're in today, when the world we just hear about so much going on in this world. And if the only thing that we can do to make a difference is just be kind, then that is what we do. And I also think that one of the things that I had a conversation with a friend recently, and he's one of those people that will, if something isn't to the standard that he's paid for, he'll make it very clear to the person that it isn't to that standard. And we were talking about it, and Ali and I were expressing how we often feel very on the back foot, and we end up maybe not getting the service or not getting the product or not getting whatever it is that we've maybe paid for or hoped for or whatever. This person that we were talking to is a very dear friend of ours. He was like, the reason why I do it is not for myself. I'm probably not going to get the thing that I wanted or paid for or whatever, but I want them to realize that there are people in this world that will stand up and say, hey, you didn't do your job good enough, or hey, you didn't deliver this good enough, or hey, this didn't happen in the way that it should have done, and I'm not going to stand for it. Because it might well be that they're doing that to my elderly dad one day. They might well be doing that to my grandma or someone that I really care about, and I want them to remember that people aren't going to stand for what it is that they're doing, because if you give people an inch, they'll take a mile. And I think that really sat well with us, is that you can communicate those things. And so that is like thinking of the bigger picture, not maybe just necessarily thinking about being kind to the person that's in front of you and giving them what they want, which is just, you saying yes and being a nodding dog and walking off. Actually thinking about how you change this situation for other people moving forward. And I loved that. That was such a huge holistic view for me. Can't believe we're only at the mantras at the moment. Oh my gosh, we've got lots to do. But hopefully it sounds nice, so you can just put me on in the background and just scribble away. But those are like your values. Those are your mantra, the mantra for your year, your values as a human, and what you want to make sure that you're always remembering whenever you're doing anything. I am terrible at talking badly to myself. I am so bad at talking badly to myself, and that has to stop in 2024. The talking about the way that I look, the talking about me being an idiot, the talking about this, the talking about it has to stop. And I really want that if you do that as well, if you externalize your inner vitriol to yourself, we're stopping that in 2024 as well. Okay, I'm no longer talking about my bleary eyes, talking about being tired, talking about these things. It's boring. Okay, it is so boring. I'm bored of doing it, and I've got to work on myself in order to stop myself from doing that. That was something I got really, really, really honest with myself about. So I just wanted to insert this one here, because being kind to yourself it's got to be a big one too. Okay, it's got to be a big one. So yeah, I'm going to insert this in at the beginning, but if the color changes, you know why, because I got here and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. What about you, Lydia? You need to be nice to you. The next thing you're going to do is to work out areas of focus. And that's what I did at the front of this book, is I just kind of scribbled everything down, and then I funneled it into whether that was an intention, whether that was a goal, or whether that was just something you needed to give yourself a kick up the arse on, Lydia. Generally, that's what I did. I just scribbled everything down and then I funneled it into the areas that it mattered. You know, organizing my phone, reading more, going to the ballet, loads of little bits and pieces like that. So once I had sorted things into whether they were goals or whether they were intentions, I set about building out what those were. My intentions are for 2024 organization. So I intend to be a much more organized person because I am not. And that is the long and short of it. Ali is an incredibly organized human being, and I am not. I'm constantly looking for my keys. I'm constantly leaving stuff in one handbag and not in the other. I'm constantly looking for things. And obviously there are moments where you have a lapse, and I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect. I realized that getting organized and getting focused and really making a promise to myself to be an organized human being in every element and then maintaining it, because you can get organized and then it can fall apart, is hard. And I think that that comes down to many different things. That came down to keeping my devices charged so that they're always on hand. And I do that by, when I return home, whenever I have used something, putting it straight back on to charge. And in doing so, it means having things that make that job easier. So even just today, I've ordered a plug with multiple USB holes so that I'm not constantly searching for lots of iPhone chargers and the little singular ones, that just everything is plugged in one place. My battery packs, my headphones, my Aura rings, my lights, my what have yous, my mic, everything is just plugged in one place and set to charge, and it's super easy. So I've ordered that, that's arriving soon, and that is going to be part of the process. Next one is handbag organization. My handbag usually resembles a rubbish bin. And I don't want that in 2024 because it stresses me out. It really is. It's something, when I'm looking for something, it stresses me out. And I started buying bits and pieces to help me simplify that space for me so that it's easy to transfer from bag to bag, so that it's easy to keep track of my belongings, and so that it's easy to access the things that I need to access and also make room for things that I actually need in that bag, like diaries, like filofaxes, those kinds of things. So, if you would like a handbag organization video, then I am happy to do that. I'll give you a little bit of a what's in my handbag video. Next one was obviously phone organization, deleting apps that I don't use. I also reorganized my phone screen so that there is no social media, nothing like that on the first page. I've got notes, I've got the weather, I've got bits and pieces like that. I can't obviously show you my phone, but and organizing all of my apps into really good places so that they are useful, but I know where everything is. And at the moment I know where nothing is because I've organized it all. But it's part of the long game of keeping the main page of my phone social media free, which leads into many of the other things in my intentions for the year, and helps with productivity, time management, and also which time management then feeds heavily into organization, because if you're not wasting time, you have more time to organize your life. Deleting old pictures, deleting old videos. Now, I am not someone that parts with photos and videos very easily, so I have to be realistic with myself on that. But I keep every single photo of my animals. That's just the way that it is. Just being really good at deleting the screenshots, all of that kind of stuff. And that's going to have to be a team effort because there is a work phone. And so the girls often screen grab things and it ends up on my camera roll and then they don't delete it. And I'm like, get rid of it. Then obviously day, week, month planning. So that for me is a really big one. So planning what is what for the week. And that is anything from what it is I'm going to be doing with my mornings, what it is that I'm going to be doing with my days, and what it is I'm going to be doing with my evenings. That includes how much work, what kind of work, how many videos, how much content am I going to realistically be able to put out. Some weeks I probably won't do it. Some weeks I'll probably exceed it. Planning everything so that I know how much time I've got to do things, because I've realized about my brain, and I know that I've spoken to you guys about this, but there's a lot of things that I realize with myself as a human with just scheduling and putting things in my diary. And if there's something in the afternoon where I've got to be, I can't get anything done. So I need to be better at understanding how I work best and what is going to get jobs done in a good way. Also, outfit planning. I've spoken about this already, but planning my outfits for the week, making sure that I'm being productive, because I have definitely noticed that when I don't know what I'm going to wear to something, my dressing room and thus my life falls apart and it just gets hectic, it gets messy, it gets disorganized, and I hate it. So that is something that I have to be really, really, really hot on, is looking at my week, knowing what I need to wear. I always ask dress codes. So if you're planning an event in 2024, please have your dress code on point. And I see a lot of dress codes that are like summer chic, and it's like that actually doesn't fall under a like formal dress code. So summer chic could be flip-flops and a bikini, because I mean it's hot and I used to live in the Bahamas. So we need an actual formal dress code. Like, is this black tie? Is this cocktail? Is this whatever? And I think that really makes things helpful, because I went to a recent event and there were some people in dinner suits and some people in like not dinner suits. And so I think that's really important. Please make my life easier for me so I always know what I'm going to wear, because I enjoy dressing well and I enjoy dressing for the occasion, and I don't want that to be a stressful thing. 2024, dress codes, please. Beauty bags as well. I think that 2024 will be the bag. It will be the bag. It will be the year where I duplicate my beauty products, so that I'm always prepared for travel, whether that's in travel sizes or whatever, just refilling them and always having a little something that I can travel with for different trips. Just things like that, making travel easy. I get quite stressed around travel, and I think that making things easier for me to do so will encourage me to do more of it, because I definitely feel like I maybe don't do as much as I should, or as I'm a young girl, I should be traveling more and just enjoying it and not being so stressed out by it. So just little things like that. So organization for me is a big, big focus. I think that this feeds into absolutely everything else that I am looking to achieve. Getting organized is going to be my best friend in 2024. So very happy about that one. I think I need to be probably a little bit honest with this one, because hopefully some of you will relate to this, but also it might give you the kicks up the bum that you need. But I've realized that thinking I have something and doing nothing about it is very selfish of me. So I've spoken heavily on my channel about my period, and I was so honest with myself over the Christmas period, mainly because I was on my period on Christmas Day, but also I had to really look at the effects that this has, not just on me, but on the people around me. I actually have an appointment this month, which I will take you on and I will update you on, and I'm going to keep you updated on this process. I believe that I have PMDD. I'm hoping I don't. I really, really hope I don't. But part of me also hopes that I do, because I can't continue the way that I am with my periods at the moment. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this, but maybe it's just me and I'm a bit hard on myself, but sometimes my vlogs are really good and sometimes they are not. And it's because for about 2 weeks of every month, I feel very, very confused. It's almost like I feel like I'm like losing my mind. I don't feel like myself. I don't feel normal. I can't think. And then I also feel very emotional at parts. And sometimes it's very, very emotional, not to mention the times that I've obviously ended up in going to A&E. I need to have a gynecologist. And so that's what I've done. Because this affects a lot of people. It affects me. It affects my business. It affects my ability to do so many things. It affects me socially. Like, I am like a social butterfly, as long as it's not those 2 weeks. And I don't want to live like that anymore, because this is where I'm going to be really, really honest with you about it. I am not somebody who suffers with their mental health. I very much have in the past, when I hadn't done the work that I have done over the years. I very much did. I'm now realizing that I suffer with my mental health purely because of my hormonal issues. And it's the weirdest thing. And I have had some of the scariest thoughts, and I don't understand why I'm having them, because I have no reason to have those thoughts. And I can't continue to live, because I don't know if I ever have a stressful time at work, which I've had. I had a situation and I was on my period at the same time, and that was really scary. And so I want to make sure that I'm just getting this sorted and I'm getting answers and I'm taking care of this as a priority as part of my health. I'm starting to look at my diet and how that plays into things. And this all comes under this intention of looking after my health, which I have noted down here. Not just physical health. I think that I'm kind of past that age where I'm like, I want to look snatched all the time. Like, I know how I feel my best in like how I look, but really it's about so much more than that. My mind, my body, what I'm putting in my body. And so at the moment, I'm really looking into a lot of the dietary effects on PMDD. I've started taking, I did a lot of research and reading, and I started taking an ashwagandha supplement to try and help with that. I'm very, very early in my journey, but again, I'm documenting that and I'm just going to speak about that as well. So I want to focus obviously on my supplements, but also food. Like at the end of the day, if we ate properly, we wouldn't need the supplements. And so I want to get back into cooking a bit more. I've learned a lot of recipes. You'll remember, if you've been here for a few years, you will remember that I did not cook a single thing when I lived at my old house. And we've come a long way. As I've written about in Evergreen, content is king when it comes to our mental health when we live in the society that we live in at the moment. And so I've really changed up the kind of content that I'm watching online, the current society that we're in, where news feeds are 24/7, and then when you go on social media, there is so much about the news on there as well. I do ensure that I'm keeping that very much in my thought processes and in my mind and at all times. What I don't do is read it when I'm in a bad place. That can be a lot of the time a recipe for disaster. So it's like what they say on the airplanes, okay? You've got to secure your mask before securing somebody else's. And as selfish as that sounds, can't help anyone if you're spiraling yourself. So I think that that's something that I want to do, is that I want to ensure that I'm watching really lovely content where I'm feeling motivated and enjoying life. It's just positivity, and that's the thing that I'm doing. So that's podcasts, that's TV, that's YouTube. So that's very much part of my health journey as well. Gratitude, I know I've spoken about my gratitude journal as well. That is very much an intention of mine, to improve my health, my mind, keep my mind focused. I think that that's a very well-rounded approach to health, to be honest. The other intention for me is really to learn a lot more, and that again covers quite a wide, broad basis. I want to learn a lot more about businesses, and I want to learn a lot more about things that I don't know about. I want to really be learning in 2024, and I feel like I did a lot of learning in 2023. I really want to ramp it up. I want to read a lot more. I want to listen to a lot more. And when I say positive content as part of my health, that comes under me feeling like I'm nourishing my mind and my knowledge base, is that I want to be learning more, whether that's learning through experiences like going to the opera, which I've never done, going to see more shows, going to see lots of things, and just learning more through experience. I'd love to do that. So learning is going to be really, really up there with my intentions. Like I want to learn more about businesses, maybe businesses outside of this industry as well, and just really kind of focus on broadening the landscape of my life, if that makes sense. So that's just kind of like a lovely intention. I obviously have goals, and I feel like my intentions very much feed into my goals. I'm going to share some of my goals with you. First of all, my goals for 2024 are to finish the house, and we have already started working toward that in 2023. So we finished the first phase of the basement, which was hopefully getting that watertight again. Now the next phase will be to rip everything up and actually action that. Now we're still trying to find someone who's going to lay the floor for us, because it is a big space, but we that is something that will be the first phase, and then getting water to the bar, etc., etc. I'd love to get the majority of the work finished before summer, but I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. But really it is just a bit of plumbing, new floor, and a lot of paint, and maybe some furnishings and some carpentry thrown in, which leads me on nicely to my next point, which is prepare for the new house. So just getting all our ducks in a line, finances in a line, ready for when we do finally start really seriously looking. We've looked at a few houses over the years. The way that I work with my investments is that my investments have to mature, and so a lot of my money is tied up in investments. Just prepare, get my finances out of investments. We want a new car, and I think that this will be a very different approach. Like with my Range Rover, I don't believe I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I love that car so much. I know I was thinking about getting an SV, but honestly, the luxury of that car, there would have to be a serious like technological improvement in cars for me to get rid of that car. I genuinely believe I think I'm just going to keep that car, because Land Rovers and Range Rovers for me are the types of cars that just get better with age, same as Aston Martins. And we got our first Aston Martin, we bought it off the forecourt. And so what we've always wanted to do is, like what we did with the Range Rover, is build our own. And then I think it will be one of those items that we just kind of hold on to and love and use. I'm not going to make any promises here. I know what I'm like, but that is something that we would like to do with our cars, and also just hopefully make 2024 the year that we get the new car. I want to have a fruitful kitchen garden. That is a goal for 2024 for sure. Definitely didn't give my kitchen garden the TLC and love that it needed. And I generally put that down to focusing on evergreens so much, and also the weather. It was a very, very difficult year. It was a lot wetter than I planned for or had anticipated. And I realized that when it is that wet, I definitely struggle to get into the garden as much, just purely because it has knock-on effects on things. Like if I'm out in the rain and it's pouring down and I'm getting soaked, I can't then come in and like film a sit-down video, for example, or film a get ready with me. That's just one little knock-on, but I wanted to just say that that is definitely one of my goals, is to learn more about flowers, learn more about kitchen gardens, learn more about different things in kitchen gardens, so that I can share that with you guys. I have obviously also put a sum of money on here that I would like to earn, and I think that that's really important. And I was really honest with myself, because I actually haven't ever done this before, but I wanted to be honest about realistic goals, but also keeping myself focused on something and working towards something. I am in an industry that is so different to many others, and I am definitely someone that I like to think I work hard, but I also give myself opportunities to rest where I can. And I'm sometimes I feel like I don't do enough, but I am working on being kinder to myself as well. I have put that on there because I think that that's important for me to, first of all, keep track of that and keep checking in and making sure that I know, like, you know, when I'm close to these things, and when these things are within reach, and how realistic is it going to be. And then it helps me with setting goals for next year as well. So that is something I really, really, I'm excited by that one, because I've never done it before. And I know everyone thinks that I'm like this materialistic person, but the reality is that I've never done that, because I've genuinely always felt so grateful for what I get every year, and I still feel very grateful, but now I want to make sure that like I'm aiming for things. And so those are my goals. Now is the important part. Now is accountability. So I've shared it with all of you guys. Okay, it is getting very dark in here because I have been yabbering on for nearly an hour, by the way. But accountability is huge, and I'm really hoping that both Ali and I will be holding each other accountable for things. Obviously, we don't want to be on at each other. We don't want to be having a go at each other. Things like not having our phones at the table, not having our phones in the bed, not working late. Those are all things that it's not for us to like have a go at each other for. I think it's just mainly to be like, come on, you know, we're on the same team here. Maybe you really need to do something, but if you do, step away from the table, get out of the bed. Like, it's got to be something that that puts you in a state of discomfort, so that you don't keep doing it. I would also say that weekly or monthly check-ins are going to be your best friend with this, okay? I can't believe how much that flame is going. Has that been annoying? I really hope that's not been annoying you. I've clearly got a draft in my room. But also holding yourself accountable, because you have this power, okay? You have this power within you to hold yourself accountable, whether that's on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. It is so easy to get to half a year and have not checked in, and then you've realized that you've not been doing anything that is feeding back to the goals and feeding into the goals that you have for yourself. So just scheduling monthly, weekly check-ins, like, how are you doing with your health goals? How are you doing with your work goals? Where are your finances at? How much work have you booked this year? That's something that I need to be ensuring that I'm checking in much more. No one's going to do this for me. That is the long and short of it. Yes, people can remind you and just give you a bit of a come on, but nobody is going to do this for you. And reading things like Atomic Habits, I know it's such a cliche, The Sweet Spot, things like that are really going to help you with getting your thoughts and your processes in place, and also understanding what's realistic and what's working towards your goals. So really, really important to acknowledge that nobody is going to do this for you, and nobody is going to kick you out of bed. And believe me, I know, because I've got a PT that I have kicked me out of bed twice a week, and on the other days I've got to do it myself. But it's all about processes that help you in the greater goals that you have, and also just remembering those values and never ever like deviating from those values, because for me that's so important. And like really sitting down and getting clear on those was so like cathartic, and it made everything make sense for me. And so yeah, I was very, very, very happy to really think about this stuff over the Christmas period and have a realistic plan, and also have got clear on a lot of things that maybe I wasn't so clear on. And as I've mentioned many times throughout this, be really honest with myself. We say it and we hear it, but like being really honest with yourself is really hard. Being brutal about the things that you could do but choose not to, that is something that I have to get better at. One of the things that I spoke about in this video about the getting like my period and that time of the month, I think if I can get that under control, I am going to have like, I'm just going to feel like my world and my work and my productivity completely changes. So I'm really looking forward to going on that journey and exploring that more. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little chatty video, and I hope it wasn't too disruptive with my lovely little microphone. But if you're thinking about getting this done, it's not too late. You can do this. You can even just set a couple of things, and it really helps you with planning out your year, or not. You know, you don't have to. You don't have to do this as well. If you're someone that just likes to see the year unfold before your eyes, do that. This is just something that I find very, very helpful for me as someone who enjoys motivation, enjoys getting work done, and enjoys this kind of stuff. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know if you found this useful. Let me know anything about how you do your processes as well in the comments down below, because I am not afraid to learn from you guys, but I would love to hear any of your intentions, your goals, anything like that. Please share them with me in the comments down below, because I think I'll find it really motivating, and also I'll hold you accountable. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.